I don't know how everybody's liking this new way we're doing things, but we're going to try it out. Just make them smaller segments, focused on a single topic. This topic is now BC politics and chaos. I'm Jim Check, with me Ian Burns. This is part of the really big show, but we're doing it in smaller segments for sure. And I would say one of the stars of the BC Conservative Party, Elinor Sturko, booted from the BC Conservative caucus there. There she is, walking off with her box. I interviewed Elinor Sturko just a few days ago and asked her the question on John Rustad's leadership, and she said she didn't want to say anything at the time. She said that she was going to let her colleagues speak because they were doing that leadership vote, and I think John Rustad did get a 70% confidence vote there. It wasn't a very big vote, but it was 70% regardless.
Yeah, it's hard to understand, isn't it? She was, I think it's probably fair to say that she was his best performer. She was the best. I would say she's the real threat. The real threat. And I would say, honestly, over the last God knows how long, several months at least, she has been more effective than him, than John, and more apparent, more out and about. So it's a very, very peculiar one. It's kind of like if you had a sports team, it's like firing your best player. But I guess you would do that maybe if you were worried that he was going to take your job as the coach. And as bad as the NDP is doing, the David Eby's got to be rubbing his hands together and saying, like, just keep it up over there, because you and I covered the election, the BC election, which it looked like the Conservatives, the up-and-comer Conservatives, basically knocked off the BC United Kevin Falcon. We interviewed Kevin Falcon. He handed John Rustad the football at the 1 yard line and said, you go in there and you win the election, because they basically cut off the financing for Kevin Falcon's party. And you go in there and you win it, and John Rustad threw the ball on the ground and says, I don't need your help. And what happened was they ended up a bunch of independents. Nobody spoke to those independents for, I think it was like 2 weeks, right? It sat there. Because we were communicating with some of those independents, and instead of picking up the phone and trying to put together the best team, they ended up running against some of these independents and lost a very close election that they likely would have won with a majority if they had, Kevin Falcon definitely left a vacuum of leadership there when he just left, because he didn't even confer with his candidates as well, because they were left in surprise when he just decided that Kevin Falcon made the proclamation that he was not disbanding, but he was going to pull the BC United Party out of the election without talking to his candidates, who put up money and all kinds of stuff to run. And then he didn't phone them either. Like, they were left with nothing, just a huge vacuum of leadership. That was John Rustad's opportunity to fill that vacuum of leadership, right? That was his opportunity to fill it. But instead, I think he let his ego get the best of him, because him and Kevin Falcon obviously had no love between each other. I did talk about it with Renee Merrifield. Rustad did accuse on our own show, on our interview, that Kevin Falcon told him to go F himself. But Renee told me yesterday that she saw the text and it didn't say that. I mean, that's neither here nor there anyway. But but it is an indication of just how immature these people are, just how childish and catty and like high school girls they are. You would have thought, though. It doesn't fill you with confidence, again, does it, in our institutions? You would have thought that moment required leadership, and I would say that moment required leadership, and that leadership would have meant, for the betterment of BC, you would have got everybody on a Zoom call, BC United and the Conservative Party candidates. You got everybody on a Zoom call and said, look, we presented an opportunity here to make the best of everything. To do this for British Columbia. Who wants to drop out? Like, who wants to drop out? And then from that, we're going to make the best team for what's left here. We're going to decide. And as a good leader would have said, and I would have said, I'll even put my leadership to the test, and I'll allow myself, my leader, and we'll pick a leader out of that. Once we decide who the candidates are, I'll allow us to pick a leader for this party at the same time. But no, none of that happened. Nothing. And I was communicating with quite a few of those candidates that were left in a lurch, and they got nothing. They got nothing. And then furious, they ran as independents, and it cost them the election. And then here we go again, Elinor Sturko, one of the top, like, I mean, if you go look at her work that she's done on a couple of files, former RCMP officer as well, look at the work she's done on decriminalizing the drugs, on the safety stuff, and just in general, as a thorn in David Eby's side. She gets her walking papers. She denies saying anything, but here's Jas Johal saying that during Monday's caucus meeting, BC Conservatives MLA Dr. Anna Kindi tore into leader John Rustad over the removal of Elinor Sturko, blasting it as cancel culture. This is like, and they already lost 3 members. Like, I mean, even that, you know, that splinter party that's come up, what's that called? One BC or something like that? That never would have happened, because likely those candidates never would have made it through if he would have put together, you know, like the best of the United and the Conservative Party. They never would have made it.
I would say, though, I think that Rustad and his advisors, they were worried about the other thing happening of bringing in the BC United ones, and then they would kind of they would end up splintering. They would either try and change the party from within and make it less about conservative values or whatever, or they would just get themselves kicked out and go off and make another party. But in the event, I mean, it's quite ironic, isn't it? In the event, the people that splintered off and left were the hardcore BC Conservatives who were upset about John Rustad's change of heart. Because if you remember, John Rustad kicked out Dallas Brody, didn't it? I can't remember where she's an MLA for, but he kicked her out over something she said. And that's despite him having been kicked out of BC United or BC Liberals because of something he said. And he promised when he sat down with you, he said, I'm not going to run it like that. It's not going to be top down.
He's going to give them their voices.
I'm not going to dictate. He's going to
give them their voices. Yeah.
Exactly. And he said, like, you know, what did he say? He said, riding first, party second, or something like that. I can't remember exactly how he phrased it.
He promised that he would give them their voices.
Yeah, and he just didn't. And I think people like Dallas Brody and Tara Armstrong and all that, the ones that defected and went off, I think they probably felt betrayed there. And that's why they left. But I mean, it's quite an irony, isn't it? Because I think their calculation would have been, we can't bring in all of these people from BC United, all of these candidates, because then they'll be too sort of liberal, and they'll end up undermining our solidarity, our unity. I mean, quite ironic that that happened. Although Elinor Sturko was obviously, she was BC United, wasn't she? She's one of the few that were actually carried over.
This is likely going to be one of his biggest mistakes. I mean, you know, I don't think this is going to end.
He's made a few, hasn't he?
I don't think this one's going to end very well. And, you know, there's quite a few of the reporters on this, Rob Shaw too, ousting a star. I mean, a lot of people call Elinor Sturko a star. I mean, she's very prominent. That's the thing, right? And walking around with a box there too, I mean, not very good look, right?
I mean, that seems a little bit melodramatic, doesn't it? It's not like she worked for Lehman Brothers. It was a bit weird. And couldn't she have just got someone else to go and pick that up? But I don't know.
I mean, that's sure for the optics. She'll sit as an independent for right now until they figure out what's going on. But I'm sure there's a lot of stuff going on in the back rooms. We'll see if we can track something down. But also at the same time, with BC finances unraveling at breathtaking speed, Finance Minister Brenda Bailey, who's promised an interview over and over and over again, they've gone from promising 30 minutes to 15 to 10 now, and then yet to book it. I said, well, then just 10, whatever it is, just something. And then still yet to see this booking, right? They promised it. This goes way back to when I spoke to her in person. Oh, yes, for sure. Oh, yes, for sure. The vice, yeah. So the BC NDP's forecast of record-breaking $11.6 billion deficit. Finance Minister Brenda Bailey means so the plans to find $1.5 billion in savings will not start bending the curve towards balance. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a placeholder number. Yeah.
Isn't it terrible?
I mean, this is great cover for them. This is the mess with the Conservatives, because they can just say, well, yeah, sure, we have a little bit of mess, but look over there, right? Look over there.
But this is terrible because, you know, it's not like it's just for us and our consumption. I mean, primarily it's not for us, is it? It's for lenders and credit ratings agencies and all the sort of financial people, the financial wizards that we must sacrifice to as though they were gods. That's what it's about. And what are these people going to make of that? It's really just a placeholder number. It's like, in other words, I don't know what I'm doing, but you know,
And the
Let's hope
savings,
that things figure themselves out.
and I believe if my memory is correct, that savings is over 3 years, but it was kind of all like kind of lumped into. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, and
kind of,
it's completely distorted by that tobacco settlement,
yeah, and
which
then
was worth
that's
billions.
over 8 years, that payment, but all the revenue is in this September report. So they're just like,
And also,
how do
that
we
was kind
dress-
of like an act of God, wasn't it? You can't
Yeah.
rely on that kind of thing. That was
But I
just
mean,
a
basically-
random like windfall.
I used to work in a CA firm as a young man, and we used to say you can put lipstick on a pig, but at the end of the day, it's still a pig, right? And I think that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to dress up a pig with, like that tobacco windfall, which is, they recognized all the revenue, even though that's not coming for years. And then also this savings, they've kind of like tried to dress this absolute pig up, which is this report here, put a lot of lipstick on it, and then they're trying to go out there and I mean, that's obviously why she doesn't want to do 30 minutes, because she don't want to answer any questions, especially to a form or to a CPA. I might ask some
She
questions.
also said,
like,
she also said at this conference or whatever it was, this shindig, she also said she was talking about the deficit, and she was saying we really have to it's very important that we make these savings, because the debt is forecast to be $212 billion or something in a couple of years. And she's saying because of that, we won't be able to spend money on things like hospitals and schools. So it's like what we were talking about. A deficit is quite an abstract thing, isn't it? Like, people don't necessarily know what that means instinctively, but she does, clearly. What it means is more money on interest rates, more money on debt, less money on things that we actually need, like hospitals. And it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy unfolding, because the budget is being squeezed. Every time we hear talk like this, every time the deficit goes up, the budget is being squeezed, and it's being sort of drowned out by interest payments, which just become a larger and larger proportion of the budget.
And on the plus side of Brenda Bailey, I have interviewed her in the past for 30 minutes, and she's a very intelligent woman. She's very capable, very intelligent. I mean, she's got a post that's kind of a mess, right? You know what I mean? I mean, that mess isn't all her doing; it's their party's doing, and their policies, the Liberal and NDP policies, that basically wreck the revenue side as well as the expense side, and like this nonsense too, and then. But David Eby's been given a couple quivers there to throw out there to blame. Trump is his number one, I guess, and now he can just keep pointing at Rustad's party there and say, look at this, do you want this? Like, at least we have some stable leadership. You could argue that. You could make that argument. At least the NDP offers more stable leadership, right? Because
they do their backstabbing in the dark,
privately,
don't they?
They do it privately, right? But they do have, I mean, to be fair, I mean, Brenda Bailey's a very capable politician, just as Eleanor Sturko is, right? They have the experience, right? Whereas, some of the other ones that are just like allow their emotions to speak first, not so good, right?
But I mean, as experienced as she is, she's not doing well. As has been pointed out here, I can't remember what organization that guy's from, some business, BC business group, who's come out and said that the finances are unraveling at a breathtaking speed. I mean, that's a massive thing to say, isn't it?
If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's likely a duck, right? And that's what that's what the finance situation in British Columbia is. It's a duck, and it's a big, squishy duck. Like it's like, it doesn't matter how much lipstick you put on that. That is a mess. Anyway, that's our segment. We're going to come back in our next segment. We're going to talk about Kamala. You want to talk about somebody that can spin with the best of them? Kamala Harris tells all. Misses out on the obvious though. But let's come back with that.
We don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us.